All right, there he is. Danny Segura. All right, Danny, let's pile through these as fast as we can. We might have some time later in the show, depending on how things go, to get more calls in, but let's assume that for the moment we don't. We got to jump right through these. You doing well, my friend?
Yeah. Good weekend.
Very good. Glad to hear it.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it. A lot of things happening everywhere, but especially in the Bantamweight division, so let's discuss that.
All right.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Bobby from Providence, Rhode Island. My question is, with this TJ Dillashaw news, do you think this taints his legacy? Do you think maybe it was just something to cut weight to make it down to that lower weight class? Do you think he's been doing stuff all the time, like Cody Garbrandt's saying? I'm not going to lie, guys. This really sucked when I found out his news.
Okay. Apparently he's calling for the middle of a monsoon, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, or he's just an extreme mouth breather, you know?
He is an extreme mouth breather. That is that opportunity as well. All right, so you go first on this one, since this is a topic that I know you probably have a lot to say on. What do you say?
Yeah, well, this is a very unfortunate situation for TJ Dillashaw. We still don't know what he popped for, so I kind of have to reserve some judgment because of that, because we don't have the full truth, obviously. Mm-hmm. But we do know he's going to be at least out for a year, because he was suspended by the New York State Athletic Commission for a year. We still don't know what USADA is going to give him. But, man, I kind of felt like TJ Dillashaw was finally coming into his own. And I know he was coming off a loss, but, like, I don't know if you remember when he was out of the title picture and he was also trying to unionize. Him and the UFC kind of weren't seeing eye to eye, and I felt like with the Cejudo fight, with everything going on in Bantamweight, all that was kind of fading away, and he was kind of entering this era where he was going to define himself as one of the best bantamweights ever, one of the best pound-for-pound fighters ever. This is a huge setback for him. So, yeah, it's tough for TJ Dillashaw. I don't know what happened. My sense of things is, there's that infamous photo now that we've all seen with him sitting down eating that salad, and he has like a million products in front of him. I know that weight cut was not easy, and it was probably very scientific. They probably rely on a lot of supplements here and there to, make up for some of the nutrition. And, in the world of supplements, man, every time you take something, you're rolling the dice. So I think it has to do something with that.
Yeah, here's what I'm going to say. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is. When you have a job like this one, where you have a show and we're here to discuss topics, here's what any producer or program director will tell you. When you crack that mic, Luke, you got to have a firm position. You got to stick to it. You got to make it with all your heart. But here's the reality. We don't know anything. Other than USADA confirmed there was a positive test, an in-competition test. We know that. And we know that he got suspended by New York. Now, I find it highly unlikely that it's marijuana, because I think if it is, he would have addressed it and he would have said something.
Yeah,
but I can't rule that out, because based on everything we know, that still qualifies. Look, it could be the worst case scenario.
But I don't think he would get suspended for a year.
Why?
For marijuana?
Why? Nick Diaz nearly got suspended for life by Nevada. And they dialed it back. Well, let's be reasonable. Let's only give him 5 years. These primates who have
devil's lettuce,
the worst judgment on earth. So I don't know that. I mean, look, again, my hunch is that's probably not that, but I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what he took. I don't know what he got caught for. I don't know if it's a tainted supplement. I don't know if it's just straight up, steroids right in the veins. I have no idea. Dude, this is a serious issue that could badly, as you noted, affect his reputation. So here's my answer. Don't know. Going to wait till there's more information. So there you go. By the way, we reached out to his management about talking to us. Hopefully they do. Yep. So there you go.
All right, well, that leaves his division an interesting standpoint, because Cejudo was supposed to come up and have that sort of, fight with him. So let's talk about what, goes next for that division.
I'm Parker, calling from Houston, Texas. What's up, Luke? I was just wondering if you could give your insight on what you think about the UFC Bantamweight title picture. We know that TJ Dillashaw was suspended by the New York State Athletic Commission last week, and he's going to be out for a year. So, you have guys like Marlon Moraes, Aljamain Sterling, Henry Cejudo, Pedro Munoz, and, you obviously need to make a title matchup so the vacant title can be.
This question goes for about another minute. So thanks for calling, Parker. And
Shouts to
let's
Houston,
just
Texas.
yeah, shouts out to Houston.
Cool city.
Yeah, I've been there. My aunt lives in the Woodlands, which is like the suburbs of Houston.
No, it's a cool place.
I've been there a couple times. It's nice. I
Nice
like
people.
it. Yeah. All right. So what do you do at Bantamweight,
I
man?
hate this Cejudo Moraes fight.
Bro, me too.
I hate everything about it,
Me
bro.
too.
I hate it. I can't stand it. Now, am I here to tell you that it's going to be a bad fight, Danny? I have no idea what it's going to be like. It might end up being the best fight of the year. And is Henry Cejudo an amazing fighter? Of course.
Yep.
Is Marlon Moraes a deserved person in his position? There can be no doubt. He's the most important ingredient here, period.
Yes, he is for sure a guy that's going to be in that equation no matter what.
Yeah. But you were doing the Cejudo at 135 thing because Dillashaw wanted to run it back.
Yes.
Dillashaw should have never been down at 125.
Yep.
It went disastrously for him, as we've all now seen, in addition to these other, insult to injury kinds of scenarios. Now he's out. The whole reason you were going to have him at 135 is ostensibly removed, and you're just going to do it.
Yes.
It's like I don't get that at all. By the way, they're both rep by the same manager, which which we've seen before because Carlos Condit fought Tyron Woodley, so it's not unheard of. But that's kind of weird. It's like I don't know, man. It's like I'm not telling you it's a bad fight, but Aljamain Sterling should be in that position 1,000%, even if it's not as sexy a fight or whatever.
Yeah. I actually think Pedro Munoz should be in that equation because Aljamain Sterling not so long ago lost to Marlon Moraes, and in you remember he got knocked out pretty bad.
Pretty bad.
I think what I'd like to do eventually, ideally, would be keep Cejudo at 125. I think, look, if you're gonna put that division down at some point, fine, do it. But at least squeeze some more title fights out of it. I think Joseph Benavidez is a deserving guy, a guy that has been a company guy since day one. He's done everything right. He's been a top contender for forever. He's got history with Cejudo, so make that fight happen. Now 135, I'd like to see. I know Moraes versus Pedro Munoz. I know that doesn't feel as big of a fight as the Cejudo fight, but that's just the way I would take things, and maybe do like a Peter Yan, Aljamain Sterling for number one contender or something.
I could live with that. What I can't live with is let's just unless you want Cejudo to move up because you're getting rid of flyweight. In that case, okay. But here's the other part about it. You just saw over the weekend Jussier Formiga, who was already the number one contender. Mm-hmm. He beat Devison Figueiredo. People are like, who's Devison Figueiredo? Oh, I'm sorry. You mean the guy who was undefeated and ranked 4th in that division heading into Nashville, who also now just lost? It's like, dude, what is
the guy that has the haircut of God of War?
I forgot about that. But it's like, dude, what does that guy got to do to get a title shot down there? I mean, we're just living in crazy land. So they're just going to do what they're going to do, but I hate both of those fights. Sorry, I do.
And you know what's funny? Dana White, I think on after UFC Nashville, he was asked about the whole situation. I think he said, "Oh yeah, I think Joseph Benavidez fights Formiga for the number one contender, and if anybody drops out of the bantamweight title fight, then they'll fill in." But I'm like, wait, so are they fighting at 125 or 135?
Oh,
it's the whole situation's just a mess. That's why I think either you get rid of the division or you don't. You know what I'm saying? Like this weird limbo doesn't really work out. All right, now let's switch topics into something completely different.
Uh-oh. That usually is ominous.
Hey, Luke and Danny. This is Kenneth Audette from Chino, California. Really admire both of your work. Keep it up. So there's this stigma in our society regarding cannabis, medicinal cannabis, and even CBD. Anthony Pettis has started incorporating CBD gummies into his diet to aid in sleep and says it has been a game changer. And it got me thinking, lots of athletes and fighters have started realizing the benefits of CBD for lowering inflammation, relaxing muscles, etc. But are fighters overlooking the gigantic benefits of having proper sleep? Love to hear your thoughts, and hey, maybe some quality sleep a day or two out of the week could really help you out, Luke. Perhaps slow the graying that you got going and haven't enjoyed. Also, shout out to Mr. Segura, favorite new Twitch streamer. Okay, take care, ladies and gents.
People act like I choose not to get sleep. Like,
would I rather get a good night of sleep tonight or maybe
what is
not?
it you think I'm doing? Up there dancing in the street with raccoons and stray animals rather than trying to get a good night? I'm trying to get a good night's rest. It's just I live with an insane amount of anxiety and pressure, so I have to get up balls early to come here. So no.
Have you tried CBD?
Yeah, here's the thing with CBD. I have tried gummies. I've had no success. I've tried rubs. I've had no success. I've tried oils. I've had no success. Now, here's the deal with this, and there has been this is not up for debate. There really are no longitudinal studies that prove any of the benefits of CBD. What you do get are a lot of anecdotal stories. Hey, man, I tried it. It was a game changer. I'm not here to say that those people are wrong. They could very well be right. All I'm trying to say to folks is there isn't any, to date, scientific data that justifies even a tenth of these claims. Now, that's partly in the process of changing. There are studies now being done, so we'll see what they have to say. It might turn out that it works for a certain kind of person and doesn't work for another. Another problem is it's a totally unregulated marketplace, so you could have a friend that has a great company that makes super killer stuff, and it all works for you. Maybe I just keep buying the loser CBD. I don't know, but I have not had any success with it at all. But hey, man, if Anthony Pettis is getting better sleep at night because of CBD, dude, keep doing it. Yes, sleep is, they'll tell you this in any kind of bodybuilding form or even powerlifting or even weightlifting. The most important things are the kind of foods you eat and obviously how much, hydration, how much sleep you get, and then at the very last is, supplementation.
Yeah.
But sleep, diet, and hydration, the most important things in fitness.
Yeah, for sure. I've tried CBD as well, the gummies and the oil, and I didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe it did work because I also know like it reduces inflammation and all that. Maybe it did work, and I just I have a hard time picking it up.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel anything. Also, fun little story. Alexis Villa, you remember him?
Poor
right?
Alexis Villa, yeah.
He's been fighting for forever. Olympic wrestler.
Yeah.
And
Crashed into an airport.
That's true. Yes. I asked him once after a fight. He was already deep into his 40s and like still, kicking ass. And I asked him, what's the key to like, be be in such a great shape at such a late age.
Being Cuban.
One being Cuban, yes, having those Cuban genes, man. And the other one, he told me sleep early. He's like sleep early. He's like by 9 p.m. I'm already like crashing.
He's absolutely right. Sleep is so important.
Sleep is so big.
But no, I mean, just so it's clear, I don't choose to not get sleep. I'm trying. I've cut out alcohol big time. It's just hard. It's hard, man.
Yeah, it's hard to get good sleep. All right, well, now let's talk about some of the action that happened over the weekend. Obviously, Anthony Pettis picking up a pretty important win for his career, but now his path is not too clear. Maybe 170, 155. So let's discuss that.
Hey, Luke, this is Matt calling from Boston. And just after what happened this weekend, Anthony Pettis now seems to have fight offers in 3 different divisions, but seems to be come and go wherever he ends up weight-wise. So I was just wondering where you would like to see Anthony Pettis land. If he had to pick one, what would your choice be? Thanks, and thank you for the show.
All right, so I don't know what the third weight class was because I don't think he's ever doing 45
Yeah,
again.
I mean, I guess he does have a top 10 win in each of those divisions.
Yeah.
But he's not, there's no beck and call back there. This is real simple. For now, look, you just beat the number 3, number 4 guy. There is no reason to get out of that division. See where it takes you. You never know. I do think he was losing that fight up until he was winning, which we'll talk about in the Monday Morning Analyst. But nevertheless, it's a great win. It's just, dude, it's a killer win. No one's ever done that to Wonder Boy. You just got to say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, there's some things to clean up, obviously. So look, see how it goes. Here's my theory about this, Danny. I asked a bunch of people to tell me every time someone has jumped up in weight, whether it went well or not went well. What you find, I don't have any hard data on this. This is, again, anecdotal or at least incomplete.
Just observation.
Observational.
Yeah.
What I have noticed is it is very, not easy, but it is common. It is not uncommon for someone to jump up in weight and initially make a big splash.
Mm-hmm.
What it is hard for them to do is jump up in weight and have a sustained effort of success.
Yeah.
That's why you see these guys come up and wait for these champ fights and they just brutalize somebody. But then you see Cowboy, he went up to 170, looked great. But then you kind of run into some pretty clear dead ends at that point.
Yeah.
So
I
then
mean,
you
he
go back
looked good
down.
for like 3-4 fights. I think he picked up at welterweight.
It's not that he can't compete there. He's obviously competitive there, but it's hard to make the argument that's his best division.
Yeah.
So, like, Pettis might be competitive at 170. We'll have to see. My hunch is that eventually he's going to find his way back down to 155.
I see that situation kind of like in soccer when they bring, certain managers specialized in just, helping teams avoid relegation. And it's not really the fact that the manager is all that good. It's just the fact that there's change, period.
Yep.
And then, people, when there's change, people just react positively to that,
right.
For a little bit. So you bring in a guy for like 4 or 5 games just to avoid relegation and, they just managed to get a few points, but is really mainly just because of change, because they're, changing things around and they're not stuck doing the same thing.
That's right.
So it kind of reminds me of that situation. But look, I hated on this matchup when it was first announced. I mean, I made my thoughts pretty clear here on the show.
Mm-hmm.
But man, now that it happened, it was a pretty big gamble from Anthony Pettis. But man, what a great decision. Because look, things look pretty murky out at lightweight. You don't know how the title picture is gonna sort out. Kind of same at welterweight, but at least you got both options. So if one goes worse than the other, you can just stick to whatever division is a little bit more clear.
That's right.
I mean, it's safe to say he's a top 5 in each. Technically, beating number 3, right? So
Yeah.
pretty smart move.
Ride it out for as long as you can, and then make a decision on how far it goes.
Also, there's plenty of lightweights that have moved up to 155, so technically you won't really have to fight like a legit welterweight.
Yeah.
So there's that as well.
All right.
All right, let's take one more, and then I'll call Thompson.
Okay.
What's going on, guys? It's Ricardo from Toronto. So Pettis just made a statement, and in terms of matchmaking, the opportunities seem endless now. But I think the fight that most people, including myself, want to see is that Conor matchup. Conor tweeted after the fight, and obviously got people talking. They're both lightweights. They're both looking to return in July. Plus Conor isn't booked, and that Diaz trilogy isn't going anywhere. That can always happen. So what do you think? Conor, Masvidal, RDA. What makes the most sense for Pettis right now, guys? Thanks. Take care.
Who should Pettis fight next?
Any top welterweight in the top 5.
You don't like the Conor fight?
It's like people like Conor versus a gorilla. Who doesn't want to? Everyone wants to see Conor fight in virtually any permutation. Yeah, of course. Do I think that's the best way for him to move forward in his career? No, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody at 155 is what he needs to be doing. But like a Pettis fight, would that be cool? Sure, dude. That'd be an amazing striking bout. But just thinking realistically about what's a good way to advance, no, it's not. That's not the best way for him to advance.
Yeah. I want to see Conor versus Nate Diaz. I think that whole thing needs to wrap up.
Agreed.
Fairly soon. So no, I wouldn't like to see Pettis versus Conor. For some reason, it just doesn't intrigue me all that much.
Yeah, look again. If you saw them across the cage from each other, you'd be like, "Wow, they're about to get it on."
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
No, again, it's the same thing with Cejudo and Moraes. When they're across the cage from each other, I'm going to be a little bit nervous because those are two amazing fighters.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that we're doing right by the divisions and then the fighters inside those divisions. So there you go.
Cool.
But we're in the streaming era. All bets are off, Danny.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to leave you with one question. This is specifically for you, and I'm going to get Mr. Thompson.
Sounds good.
Hey, Luke, this is Neil from Calgary, Canada. I'm just wondering about your analysis on your fights. I like them. They're great analysis. I'm just wondering if any fighters actually ever get upset at you for giving away their fight plan or game plan.
Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah. That was the longest pause ever. Yeah, sometimes. I've had a couple messages about that. Typically not really. What you guys have to understand about the analysis that I do, which I really appreciate, I do think it sets me apart a little bit inside the media space relative to other media members, not so much obviously coaches, is that there's a certain kind of perspective that I bring that is different than how a coach might see it. And then 2, there's a lot of small details I don't get to, part because I don't see them, part because I don't have enough time. There could be a lot of missing pieces there that, a coach might look at what I'm doing and say, oh, I had the coach of a really famous fighter reach out and say I got like 90% of what they were doing correctly, but the 10% that I missed was pretty critical. So, what do you want to say? The reality is what I always tell you guys. I don't present it to you as the best analysis or the only analysis or even the complete analysis. I present it to you as mine. I give you like a big picture overview with some grasp of the details, and then we go from there.